Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to DDCP, which stands for Drupak's Drupal Career Development Program. What we will cover in it? All the basics of web development, starting from the very scratch, HTML and CSS. Number 2, JavaScript. PHP and MySQL. Drupal is built upon all of these three modules actually, so we need to study them. Otherwise, you won't go any distance in Drupal development. Then 4 is Drupal, and it has 3 or 4 facets like Drupal site building. You will get to know once we are there. Theme development and module development. The 5th one is decoupled Drupal, for which we will need React and Next.js. Is this clear? So here we are today, HTML and CSS. How many of you have worked in HTML and CSS before? We will start with some basic tags and what HTML actually is. So you will have to create a folder on your desktop or anywhere in your file system. Just then create a file index.html, and by the way, we will be using VS Code. There are lots of videos regarding VS Code on YouTube. You can go through them. To save time, I will be just teaching you how to code in it, right? That's great. So majority of HTML tags are in pair. For example, if I type P, so it has a closing tag. Let me zoom it in further. Okay, P. So P has a closing tag, and P, by the way, is paragraph tag. So if there is text, most of the times it will be inside the paragraph tags. Whatever you type between the two opening and closing tags, so that will be actually that particular tag. Some widely used. What is this called? If I type something inside the less than and greater than sign of the first element, for example, what is this thing called? Shabas. So whatever lies inside a tag's less than and greater than sign, the first one, these are called attributes. And mostly used ones are ID is equal to something and class is equal to something, right? There has to be 2 quotes after equal sign, and this is known as an attribute in an HTML tag. We will start with the first one, doc type HTML. The language is, I'm not going into details of these because you can search them. Just copy and paste them, and they will be there for you. The most important one is this for responsive designs. Meta name is equal to viewport, content is equal to width is equal to device width, and initial scale is equal to 1. So this again is something you don't need to memorize. You can just press this symbol in VS Code and it will be there for you. I'm assuming this is just your first ever day of HTML and CSS, so it will be very basic. Let us start with the title of the document. Again, this is the opening and closing tag and DDCP 2023. So let me repeat, it's just HTML tag, opening, closing, then you will have head, and in head you will have title. That's it. That's the hierarchy. Whatever is visible on the page, once the page is saved, that comes in the body tag, right? So that's the sequence. We have not to do a lot here. Our main focus today will be inside the body tag. Okay. How many of you have worked on in CodePen.io? CodePen.io. Okay. So to quickly do things, for example, I have to set up initially Visual Studio Code for testing and teaching. We can also go to, let me zoom in again, CodePen.io. This is an online tool. And can you all of you go to CodePen.io, please? CodePen.io.
Online code editor.
Yes. And click on Start Coding. So this is HTML. For example, I am writing HTML inside the body tag. I won't have to go through all the hassle of adding meta and all of the head tags. I will just type my HTML here, CSS here, and it will be revealed at the bottom of the screen. So for example, I type P and P close. This is our first paragraph. So it instantly shows it in the bottom of the screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How many of you know about block level elements and inline elements? Yes.
Sir, block line elements it will take the whole line. Inline block element will only take the place which is in the system.
Exactly. Sort of. You are clear in your concept. Good. So block level elements are those, if it has any available space, it will occupy the whole of it, right? So for example, paragraph is a block level element. It won't let any other elements in its line, because for example, if I add, for example, another paragraph, this is our second paragraph, right? So even it has space, but since this is the second paragraph, it in itself is a block level element. The first one is not letting the second one to appear on its own line. On the line it is, right? It is not jumping to the top. This is because these both of these are separate elements. Now for links, we use a tag A open, A close, and it has href attribute, for example http google.com, and whatever comes inside the two A's, it is going to be the text which will be clicked. So go to Google, right? So this is that link, go to Google, and it is also appearing on its own line. But if I make another link as well, both of those tags, A tags, are on their separate lines, but in the browser they are on the same line. Why is it so? Because these are inline elements, right? So it doesn't have any connection with your code, even if the tags are on separate lines, but in the browser they will appear on different lines and vice versa, right? Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay. Again, in the piece sense, if we just create a tag, separate tag, and it has just one P in it, still it will appear on its own line, because it is how to know that a particular element is block level. So we will just give it a background CSS in CSS, right? So for example, we can, what type of CSS this is? Style is equal to background dash color, for example red, right? So this shows the extent to which this box has exceeded its bulk. It means this is jurisdiction is up to this line, right? Because it's block level and it will stretch to the whole available space. We can apply CSS as inline CSS also. This is known as inline CSS, and the syntax is, it's actually a style tag, style tag here, attribute, and it has this general CSS. So we are going to study further popular HTML tags, right? One of them is UL analyze. Have you used UL analyze before? So you will open and you will close. Then it has allies, for example Karachi, shower, is this clear? So for any of the lists, we have unordered list, UL, allies, li stands for list item, and if I need numbered list, so it will be OL. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay. We can move links inside allies also. We can but it has to be inside allies, not directly inside OL or UL. Okay, so for example, I have to make ally a link. What I will do is just wrap it with a and then href is equal to, for example, whatever, Karachi.html. Is this clear? Now this one is a link. It's inside allies. Similarly, inside P's you can have paragraphs, you can have links. For example, if I have to make this OUR a link, what I will do? Any idea? Anchor. So A and then A close and then href a.html. So here it is. This is now a link. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Something about divs now. What is a div?
It's a container.
It's a yes. Division. It's a container. So you can exactly. So you can have a lot of stuff inside divs. In fact, all of this HTML stuff should go to a div, for example. Right? Got it? And divs can be nested also. For example, this is one div, then there can be other divs as well. And we can put all the HTML there. Visibly there are no changes in the browser, but actually now everything inside is inside two divs, right? If I copy this whole code to our Visual Studio code, inside the body tag and save it, then open it in the browser. So this is actually the same stuff we were doing code.io, right? How many of you have used browser inspector? Browser inspector. If you have any page open in a browser, if you right click on it and inspect, so here there are a lot of tags. Again, on YouTube you can go through browser inspector or Chrome inspector videos. So all the HTML is in the form of X-ray shown to you here. So this is HTML tag, head and body. If you open the body, these are those two divs I created at the end. So if you open a div, then again there is another div, and then we have all these elements. If you open UL, it has allies, and if you open li, it has all the elements you have. So it lets you inspect the whole page. For example, if I randomly go to cnn.com, for example, this is cnn.com. If I right click on it, inspect, So this is the whole HTML used in. And if I click on this arrow and click on any of the elements, it will show the relevant HTML text. So for example, I clicked on this one, it is h2. If I click on the image, this is the image tag. So you can learn a lot of stuff from just the browser inspector as well. Got it? And in CSS debugging, we will always refer to the inspector tools. Okay, I was forgetting the h1 tags also. Let us add those. h1 header 1, is it okay? How many of you have used the table HTML tag? Tables. Good. The next one is table. Table open, table close. Then we have T head, then TRs, and it has TDs. TDs for columns, TRs is for rows. One thing you need to know is that you should have the same number of TDs in head and the TRs. So for example, we have two TDs, 1, 2, 1 TD 2, and we should add another row also. 3, 4. How can I zoom it in? Why are these in this format? Anybody? Is this table or what?
Sorry, exactly. This is a table. Yes.
But why are we seeing 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4? It can be paragraphs also. It can be anything else.
Sir, it is a block level attribute, sir. Along with sir, one TD table head and 2 rows and 1 column, sir.
Right. For example, my main question actually is, if I add 3 paragraphs, 1, 2, and just refresh it. Do you see any difference in this and this? I mean, how can I say this is a table and these are paragraphs?
Sir, size difference.
No, right now, even as an experienced developer, I can't see the top one is table and the bottom one is paragraphs, because we have not given border to the table as yet, right? Okay, here is the code. So if you give border is equal to 1. This is HTML attribute, this is not CSS, right? So if we give border is equal to 1 to table and just refresh our page, you will see this in the form of table now, right? So actually border by default was not there, so we were not able to see the table actually. So now you can increase number of TDs and it will look like a table. So to recap the table syntax, I will go to inspect, click on table, this one, and then in that code is table, then
how we can separate the head portions. So you said they look the same.
well we will do it in CSS.
We can also use TH, I think.
Yeah. It is actually T.
We have used some TD.
Mhm.
So if you use TH, so it will be okay.
Yeah. Table syntax.
Yes, in the first row we can use TH.
Right. T head. Insert, yes, this W3 schools, do you know about it?
Yes,
So this can always be your reference point. So we are going to use TR, we are missing the TR actually. And move all the TDs to it and change them to TH. Is it okay now? TR, TH. Good. Okay, one thing, you will have to have the same number of TDs and THs. Is it clear? For example, if I have one TH and TH, two THs, so we will have two TDs against those. Otherwise, there will be mismatch in columns. For example, let me just get them on the other line. We have two TH, so we have two TDs against. Okay. Another tag we are missing is image tag. So image src equals, this is the source attribute, and this is self-closing. Some of the HTML tags are self-closing, so image is one of them. And here we can have two types of images. Relative or absolute. What is difference between relative and absolute? Anybody?
The absolute that we have in our file, or relative that we are using in a link.
You have ultat, but you are okay.
Yes,
So if I go to cnn.com and this is Mr. if you click on any image, for example this one, right click, open image in new tab, for example. So this is the URL of the image. If you just copy this URL and come to our editor and paste it here, this is the exact URL of the image. If you refresh it, so this is that image.
Yes, okay.
We are now using CNN's image inside our own. If I click on network, this is also very beneficial to know. If I click on network and refresh the page, it will show us why is it not happening? Okay, we will create a folder here. Inside the folder, DDCP folder, and call it images. And we will save this image, save image as inside the images folder. We will save it as, for example, FIST, and save. If I come to the images folder, so this is the first .jpg file. I will copy I will use another image, and now I will call it images/jpeg. Now this image is inside the folder and in relevance with the HTML document we have. So index.html, and then we have images, and then if we go to images we have first.jpg. If I refresh the page, why is this image broken? This is broken image symbol, right? If I inspect it, so maybe we have some problem in the path we have issued.
Yes.
So first is not there. So the inspect lets you inspect your website or web page for errors also. So we'll use .jpg. Now you can make no visual difference between the two images, but this one is from our own file structure folder and this one is from CNN, right? Both of these are URLs actually, but this one is relative, the right one. Relative means relative to the HTML document where the code lies, and this is absolute. Absolute means it is with the URL http something.com. Okay. We will create a few folders. Let us do some practice about the paths, actually these paths, relative paths. So we will create a folder, call it, for example, computer science department. Let us assume this is a university website, computer science department. Move it to the top. create a folder inside out of the images folder, actually computer or CS, we will call it CS. In CS, for example, there are three departments. So web will create another, networks, and then databases. CS, web, networks, databases. And here I create another HTML document. In a separate folder we can have the same name also. So again, this one, in the body I need to show this image, this one, first.jpg. How will I do it? Anybody? So here I will use, for example, image src is equal to first.jpg,
/
images first.jpeg. Do you think it will show up? Why?
It's not in the same folder.
Folder name first.
Separate folder. If I go to CS, then web, then networks, then databases, this is the file. So it will have a broken image, you can see it, because it's not there, and we are deep inside the folders,
Yes, sir.
right? So this is the trick for it. Let me delete this one, this is confusing. We have to show this image, right? And it is deep inside these directories. Like databases, it is in the same level with the this index.html is inside the database directory. So we will come one level up. One level up means first here, then here, then here. We will then be out of the folders, and then inside the images, and then this. So how many jumps we will have to go through? 1, 2, 3. We will be to the root of the file. Root means to the root of the folder, sorry. And then we will go inside the images. It is exactly like physical in rooms. For example, if I ask you to go to that room, you will first go out of this room.
Yes, sir.
Then maybe if the path is through that door, then you will have to go to that door. Similarly here, we will first go to networks. So if you jump up, how will we use the path then? If I come to, if you have to jump up, it means you will use 2 dots and then this slash.
Yes.
So with 2 dots and 1 slash, we are into the networks folder, this one. We need another jump to the web folder. So double dot slash, right? So we are now into the web folder, and one more jump will make us to the CS folder. Now we still are inside the CS folder. We need another jump. So we are out of the CS folder now, but we have to go inside the images folder now. So we already have written images, and then the first.jpg. So hopefully,
Yes, sir.
if we refresh it, it will be showing up now. You have to practice this because maybe you need it a lot of times in your career. So each double dot slash corresponds to one folder up. So if I am here in the databases, I will go to networks, then this. Once I am out of the CS folder, I am in the root of the document. So even if I have to link to index.html, this index.html, how will I do it? href equals go to site home page. For example, this is the home page of the site, right? And now I'm inside the databases folder. index.html. So the same, because I'm here, first I will have to go to networks, then web, then CSS, then to the index.html. So this, and as soon as I click on the last one, I mean make the last one, CS code lets you choose something, because now it also knows it, that it has access to it. So just click on the index.html. It will have now a link, and if I click on it, it will go to the home page. Got it? If any of the folders you haven't mentioned, then you won't be able to go to it. Another one which is used is definition based HTML. It is very much like, to save time I'm just copying it from W3 schools, right? So definition list DL and DL, DT, DL. So it actually is term, and then this is definition. Coffee, and this explains it actually. Milk, and it explains it. And if you refresh the page, so this is coffee, black hot drink, milk, and this, right? Another one is quote. These are the ones which are frequently used in HTML. So HTML quote. It's the block quote. We will remove the site one because I personally haven't used it. So block quote open, and inside the quotes you have this. So this is now a quote, HTML code, block quote it is called, right? We haven't done anything to it, but still this seems a bit styled. Why is it so? Anybody? Or this one?
So by default it have a styling.
Exactly. So every browser has some default CSS attached to it. Only because even we haven't given any sizes to the headers, but still they are styled because of the default styles every browser has. So as a CSS designer or developer, you have to undo all of this to have your own custom styles.
Every specific tag have its own default stylings.
Exactly. Anything I have left in the most important tags?
So BR, HR.
Yeah. But they again are not used a lot. You can go to articles like these, 20 most important HTML tags in use, for example. Something like this. Remember one thing, nobody remembers by heart the tags or anything or syntax. You will always have to refer to documentations. Just like I forgot how to use head tag in table, for example. So there is no shame in it. Even we go through all the documentations. So something or a list like this is very important. Strong is for bold, okay? So if you surround something with strong, it will be HR is just for a line, horizontal line. Yeah. Script is for JavaScript. We will use it once we start JavaScript. BR is for break. So simple. If someone inside it moves it to the second line. Span tag. Yeah, forms. Let's discuss forms. Very important one.
Input levels.
Again, form you can consult it yourself, but form has an opening and closing, and then input type is equal to, and this input type is equal to text area करते हैं. For example, this. Which page is this? So this is a form. It has two, but form must be having labels also. I mean, you don't know what these actually are now. Text area is for this, not input. It's probably directly. Yeah. So this is text area and this is input tag, right? So it has to have labels also. So for example, this is name and this is interest. So also, just like a person who has names, a person may have name, there is no nameless person. Similarly, input has to have some name. So name is equal to, for example, name. Name is equal to name, and text area name is equal to interest. By this name we know which element it is. So we will have label, label open, close, label. So for example, name, and this one will be label. Interest. If I refresh the page, so this is name, this is interest, right? But again, internally they are not connected. They are just lying close to each other. That's why we know the name is name and interest is for that one. Internally or programmatically connecting them means we will use the for attribute, for, and the name of the name attribute. So we will name it name. Now this means that this label is for this name, and another attribute for interest. Now we know that this is for this one. Visibly we won't have any change, but internally if we inspect, we have the fors, right? Okay.
If you use a placeholder,
Yeah, placeholders also you can use them. Form has an action attribute, which is the most important one. Action is equal to some page on the server. right now if I submit this form, nothing is happening. But if I have, for example, post.php, for example, we have a page in PHP which will catch all the form elements and save it in the database, for example. So for now, nothing is happening, but via this action attribute, we'll name it db.php, something like that, and method is equal to post or get, right? I will let you know what get does and post does once we go to the PHP section. Right now, just know that we can have a method which can be get or post. So action is equal to db.php. Once this form is submitted, all the values will go to this page then, and their PHP page will catch those values. We also are missing one button. So input type is equal to submit, and value is equal to submit. Let us call it register, for example, so that you know what it does. And it also is a self-closing tag. So name, interest, and register. If I register it, it will go to db.php. Here you can check the URL, but since it is not being caught, we are not doing anything else. But this is a button. Button has two types. I mean, this is by default a submit button. It submits the form, but we can have similar buttons.
The button tag.
Just the button. Both of these are buttons, and they do the same thing. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Inside the form, we can have select list. Select, and then in the select we have options, and within the options, this is the one element, for example, Karachi. So this will be visible to the user, but actually it can have a value. So value is equal to, for example, 1. When we are into the databases, I will let you know why this is 1, but for now Peshawar is 2, and we can have one empty one also. We will call it please select your city, and the value will be empty. So this is please select your city, Karachi, Peshawar. This is human readable, Karachi and Peshawar, and it has the value of 1. Once it is submitted, PHP page will catch it as 1 or 2, and we will save it in the database as 1 or 2, for example. So that's the way we go through it. I think this is enough for today, right?
Yes.
And I will just stop it.